but let's start with the games last night. Coach's hair was falling out in that LA-Ottawa game because 7 goals aside in regulation, and then Ottawa converts on the two-pointer, I guess you could say, to win in overtime. I don't know. Now the analogy is getting a little bit weird, but 15 goals in this hockey game is crazy. Also, Darcy Kemper left in for all 8 of them is also insane, but no team was either up by more than 2 goals at either point. So it was like, hey, it didn't make sense to pull them. This was just a weird one.
And also in the afternoon on a Thanksgiving Monday. I mean, this was tremendous. I love that the Sens are able to get it done. The Kings had struggled to score in their first few games of the year. They get 7 by, and by the way, they're undefeated in regulation so far on this, seemingly Odyssey season opening road trip, pretty far from home. And so the only thing I could think of, and I know this is wrong, the only thing I could think of was the Jets beating the Flyers 9-8 also in October. I'm covering the Flyers. This is 2011. And this was the Ilya Brizgalov lost in the woods without an iPhone compass day. And that's the first thing that I thought of was Brizgalov kind of beginning of his tenure in Philly and him saying, guys, I was lost. And that's kind of maybe what it felt like for, these teams in that moment, just not a typical hockey game and also highly entertaining. We know that it's not going to be like that. Look at how many 8-4, 6-4, 6-5 games we've seen so far to open up the season. Coaches always find a way to clamp down, but it seems like October is when stuff like that usually runs together.
We were also on a little bit of an e-bug watch there, too, with Anton Forsberg going to the locker room, Mads Sogard in, Linus Ullmark's already out for the Sens. So it was almost an e-bug situation there, but it got crazy yesterday in the afternoon. I wanted to quickly talk about some storylines from the Kings side of this game because we haven't spent a ton of time talking about this team so far this year, Frank. And, I guess somewhat justified. The last couple of years, they've been like kind of a sneaky, sexy cup pick. A lot of people saying, oh, this is the year they can break out. Maybe they win the division, things like that. And this year, expectations seem a lot lower than that. But there are a couple of reasons, I think, to maybe be optimistic. The first one is the ageless wonder, Andre Kopitar. He already has 6 points in 3 games this year. And yes, a big outburst yesterday certainly balloons the numbers a little bit. But just looking back through his career, Frank, I can't think of anyone or very few players who have done it as consistently as Andre Kopitar.
Yeah, consistently excellent. Hat trick to open the season in Buffalo. He's just at a time when there's probably some pressure on him and the rest of the team. No Drew Doughty for the first few months of the season. He's come through in a big way. I think this team is also facing pressure as a whole. Yeah, 3 consecutive playoff appearances, 3 losses in the first round in consecutive years to the Edmonton Oilers, that people are looking for this team to take a step forward. And who's going to do that? Who's going to be the person that steps up to help bridge that and get that team there? And I don't know that many people would have been picking Kopitar at that age to do it, but it seems like he hasn't lost a step at all and is as good as he's been.
Yeah. Potentially another 70-plus point season coming this year for Kopitar. He's done it now in back-to-back years. Another name on LA that, again, I think just deserves a little bit of love. The Drew Doughty injury happened, and I think, again, a lot of people looked at that and were like, okay, got to be cautious of the Kings this year. Brandt Clarke, I think, is ready to go, Frank. I don't think this is a guy who the moment or the expectations are going to be too much for him. They've not slow played his development, but they've never rushed him at any stage. And I think that means he is ready to go for an 82-game NHL season. 3 points for Brandt Clarke, all on the power play. Whatever you lose with Doughty, Clarke can at least pick up for it with the man advantage.
Yeah, I said it as soon as Doughty went out. That just meant more opportunity for Brandt Clarke. He was one of my 10 breakout players of the year, and he's someone that is supremely talented, and you're right, has progressed to this point the right way with the right tempo. And I think he's ready to go to be at that level for a full 82 game season.
Absolutely. Also
50 points. That's my projection. 50 points for Brandt Clarke.
I like that. Do you think he keeps that top power play spot even when Doughty's back?
Probably not. I mean, Drew Doughty's one of the best in the world at what he does, but it's a great option to have in your arsenal in Brandt Clarke.
Yeah, absolutely. I did also find it interesting yesterday that even though there were 15 goals scored in that hockey game, 14 players between the two teams were still held scoreless. I know there were a lot of fantasy owners posting the Byfield and Trevor Moore stat lines being like 15 goals. You didn't get in on one of them.
Crazy. Absolutely crazy.
What's up, hockey fans? If you enjoyed that video, then you need to be hitting the subscribe button right here at Daily Faceoff. Exclusive interviews and analysis from our hockey insider Frank Saravalli, fantasy updates from Brock Sagan, and a daily live show at noon Eastern, Monday through Friday. You don't want to miss any of the fantastic content, so hit that subscribe button.